We usually think of breakfast in, well, pretty simple terms. It's fuel for the commute, or let's be honest, it's mostly just a caffeine delivery system.
Just to get the eyelids open, right?
Exactly. But what if you found out that your morning toast, or maybe the lack of it, is directly sabotaging your ability to perform in the bedroom? And I don't just mean feeling a bit tired.
No, this is much deeper.
Yeah, I mean physically restricting blood flow to the specific places where men over 60, and frankly, a lot of men over 40, really need it most.
It does sound like a bit of a stretch, doesn't it? Connecting a bowl of oatmeal to, erectile mechanics.
It does.
But when you actually look at the physiology, especially how the vascular system resets itself after you sleep, the connection is, well, it's incredibly direct.
We are diving into a really fascinating and frankly kind of surprising transcript today. It's from The Healing Mind, featuring Dr. Laura.
Right, she's a men's health specialist, a urologist with something like 30 years of experience.
30 years looking at, so to speak, plumbing problems. And what really caught my eye is that she isn't talking about prescriptions or injections or surgery. She's talking about the refrigerator.
Which is so refreshing.
Yeah.
And she's addressing this very specific group, men over 60, who might be noticing things just aren't working like they used to.
The mechanics are fading.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Weaker erections, maybe a feeling of numbness or heaviness in the lower body. Her whole point is that the body wants to repair itself. It's constantly trying to restore circulation. But for so many men, we're basically starving those specific mechanisms right at the moment they need fuel the most. That first hour after waking up.
That was the big aha moment for me reading this. The idea that we aren't just aging, we are technically starving our own circulation.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to unpack this protocol. We've got 4 specific foods, Dr. Laura calls them tools, that act like, well, biological keys to unlock blood flow. But before the grocery list, we have to talk about what she calls the silent sabotage of the morning routine.
It's a great term, silent sabotage.
So let's unpack that, because I think a lot of guys just assume, hey, I skip breakfast, that's intermittent fasting, that's healthy, right? Or they just grab a coffee.
Or a donut.
Exactly. Why is that so bad for circulation, specifically in the pelvic region?
Well, it comes down to a couple of things, anabolic resistance and atrophy. When you sleep, you're in a fasted state. Your glycogen stores are low, your muscles are dehydrated, and cortisol, the stress hormone, is peaking to wake you up.
Okay.
If you don't give the system the right nutrients right away, the body goes into like a conservation mode. It prioritizes the survival organs, heart, lungs, brain. The peripheral systems, like the tiny capillaries in the groin and the pelvic floor muscles, they get shortchanged.
And when you say pelvic floor, I feel like most guys just tune out. We think that's something for women after childbirth or, something you do in a yoga class.
And that is a massive misconception, one Dr. Laura spends a lot of time on. For men, the pelvic floor muscles are the literal foundation of erectile function. They don't just hold your bladder in place.
Right.
They actively contract to trap blood in the penis to maintain an erection. They control urinary flow. And as we age, if circulation drops, these are the first muscles to atrophy, to weaken and shrink.
So it's a use it or lose it scenario, but also if...
A feed it or lose it scenario, precisely.
Wow.
If you wake up and just dump coffee and sugar in, you're ramping up cortisol even higher and spiking your insulin. High insulin and high cortisol, they can constrict blood vessels. You're doing the exact opposite of what the body needs, which is vasodilation.
Opening things up.
Right, opening them up. You're telling your body, hey, we're under stress, shut down the non-essential systems. And unfortunately for this discussion, reproduction is considered not essential for immediate survival.
That makes so much sense. The body is just triaging its blood flow. All right, let's stop the sabotage and start the repair. Let's get to the toolkit. Food number 1 is something most of us probably have, but we've been told to be scared of it for decades. We're talking about whole eggs.
Yes, whole eggs. And I can't stress this enough. The emphasis really is on whole.
Right, because the story for so long was cholesterol is bad, egg yolks have cholesterol, so egg yolks are bad. Dr. Laura really seems to have a bone to pick with that idea.
She does, and modern science really backs her up here. The idea that dietary cholesterol directly clogs your arteries is, well, it's largely outdated for most people. But from her perspective, if you toss the yolk, you are literally tossing out the medicine.
The medicine, okay.
The yolk is where you find vitamin D, B12, choline, and most critically, an amino acid called leucine.
Leucine, okay, we hear about protein all the time. Why is leucine the magic word here?
This is the fascinating part. Leucine is the main trigger for a biological pathway called mTOR. You can think of mTOR as the light switch for muscle repair.
Ah.
Now, here's the catch. As men age, the price to flip that switch goes way up. This is what's called anabolic resistance. A 20-year-old eats a little protein and builds muscle. A 60-year-old needs a much higher dose of leucine to even get that same repair signal started.
So a piece of toast or one of those, watery egg white omelets, that isn't going to cut it.
It literally won't flip the switch. Dr. Laura points out that the pelvic floor muscles, they act just like any other muscle. If you don't hit that leucine threshold, they don't repair the micro tears from daily life. They just get weaker. And weak pelvic muscles mean weak erections.
She shared this incredible story about a patient, Richard. He was 67.
Right. And Richard hadn't had a morning erection in 2 years. Now, clinically, that's a pretty big sign. Morning wood, as it's called, is the body's way of sort of safety testing the equipment. If that's gone, it means the blood isn't getting there properly.
And his prescription wasn't a little blue pill, it was 2 boiled eggs every morning.
For 4 weeks.
Yeah.
That was it. And the result wasn't subtle. He called her up saying he woke up like he was 40 again.
Okay, I have to play devil's advocate here for a second. Is that just a placebo effect? Can 2 eggs really reverse 2 years of decline?
It's a fair question. But you have to look at the mechanism. He wasn't suffering from, say, nerve damage. He was suffering from atrophy. He finally gave his body the raw materials, that high concentration of leucine and choline in the yolks, to repair the very tissue that supports the blood flow. He stopped starving the system.
So the system came back online.
Exactly.
Okay, so eggs are the muscle repair crew. Let's move to the next tool. This one is for the plumbing itself, the arteries. Food number 2, oatmeal with chia seeds.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Oatmeal sounds like the most boring, unsexy breakfast on the planet.
It really does. It sounds like something you eat when you've just given up on flavor.
It has that reputation, for sure. But functionally, it's a powerhouse, especially when you understand the endothelium.
The endo what now?
The endothelium. It's the inner lining of your blood vessels. Think of it like the Teflon coating on a nonstick pan. When that coating is smooth, blood just slides right through.
Okay.
When it gets scratched or damaged, usually from high blood sugar or high blood pressure plaque, starts to stick.
And the oatmeal fixes the scratch.
In a way, yeah. Oats have beta-glucan, which is a soluble fiber. It helps lower cholesterol, but it also helps scrub those vessel walls. But here's the key. Dr. Laura insists on pairing it with chia seeds.
Chia seeds. I immediately think of those little terracotta pets from the 90s. Is this just a trendy health food thing, or is there real utility here?
Oh, there is serious utility. Chia seeds are packed with omega-3s, but more importantly for this, magnesium and potassium. And in the context of blood flow, magnesium is a natural vasodilator. It chemically tells the smooth muscle cells in your blood vessel walls to relax.
And relax means open up wider.
Exactly. When those vessels relax, their diameter increases. It's a basic physics, wider pipe, better flow. And this lets blood rush into the capillaries of the groin and pelvis much, much easier.
Quick practical question, though. Are we talking about those instant oatmeal packets with the little dinosaur eggs in them?
Definitely not. Those are basically sugar bombs. You want steel cut or rolled oats.
Right.
If you spike your insulin with all that sugar, you're damaging the endothelium, which, defeats the whole purpose.
Got it. There was a story about a guy named Henry in the transcript. He sounded like he was in pretty rough shape.
Yeah, Henry is a classic case of poor peripheral circulation. He felt like his body was shutting down after he retired. He was eating sugary cereal, spiking his insulin, constricting his vessels every morning.
So Dr. Laura just switched him to the oats and chia.
Oats, chia, some blueberries, and cinnamon. And the timeline here is what's really wild. Within 2 weeks, his legs felt lighter.
2 weeks.
A month. For the energy to come back inside and outside the bedroom.
Inside and outside the bedroom. That really drives home the point that your sexual health is just a mirror of your overall health. If your legs feel heavy and sluggish, your erectile tissue is probably sluggish too.
It's all the same piping system. You can't have bad circulation in your legs and somehow have perfect circulation in your groin. It doesn't work that way.
All right, let's get to the third one. And this is the one I think is going to surprise people the most because we just see it as a sweet summer treat. Food number 3 is watermelon. Dr. Laura calls this the bedroom fruit.
This is one of my favorite parts of her research because the biochemistry is so direct. It's almost like a pharmaceutical. Watermelon is nature's richest source of a compound called L-citrulline.
L-citrulline. Okay, break that down for us. What is it doing?
So when you eat L-citrulline, it bypasses your liver and goes to your kidneys, where it converts into another amino acid called L-arginine. And here's the payoff. L-arginine is the direct precursor to nitric oxide.
Nitric oxide. That's the molecule you hear about in bodybuilding and, well, in all the ED
Oh,
commercials.
correct. Nitric oxide is a gas that signals your blood vessels to dilate, and to do it rapidly. It's the exact same target as popular ED medications. Those drugs work by stopping the breakdown of nitric oxide.
So this is just a natural way to increase the production of it in the first place.
You're filling the tank with the very fuel that creates an erection.
But there's a catch, right? A pro tip that Dr. Laura mentioned that honestly sounds kind of unappealing.
You're talking about the rind.
The rind, the white, bitter, hard part near the green skin, I throw that in the trash. Dr. Laura says that's a mistake.
It is the mistake. She
So-
explicitly says, don't throw away the white rind. That white layer has a significantly higher concentration of citrulline than the pink flesh. If you're just eating the sweet pink part, you're getting some, sure, but the rind is the supercharger.
Okay, but how are you supposed to eat that? It tastes like crunchy water mixed with grass.
It's not a culinary delight on its own, no.
Yeah.
She suggests blending it. Throw that white rind into a blender with maybe some lime juice, some mint, or berries to mask that bitterness. It becomes a smoothie base.
That is very good to know because I was picturing guys just gnawing on rinds, so blend it up.
Blend it up. The point is to get that citrulline into your system.
She mentioned a patient named Bill who was pretty skeptical about this.
Most men are. Bill thought it was just a snack, but he followed the protocol, ate it on an empty stomach for better absorption, and within a week, he reported increased sensitivity. 2 weeks later, stronger morning erections.
And I think he said something like, I don't know if this is watermelon, but something is waking up down there.
And that's the power of nitric oxide. Unlike muscle repair, which takes weeks, vasodilation happens relatively quickly. It's a hydraulic response.
Okay, so we've got eggs for muscle structure, oats and chia for clean pipes, watermelon for the nitric oxide boost. We have one more tool left. Food number 4, steamed sweet potato with Celtic salt.
This is what she calls the stabilizer.
This sounds like the oddest breakfast to me. Who wakes up and steams a potato?
It is unusual for us, but think about the physiological state of a man over 60 when he wakes up. His blood pressure might be a little unstable, his nerves are just waking up. Dr. Laura describes the body as being in a vacuum. It needs glycogen for the muscles, but without the sugar crash from a bagel. Sweet potatoes provide that complex, slow-burning carb. But the real secret weapon here isn't even the potato, it's the salt.
And she was very specific, not table salt. Celtic salt. Why does that matter? Isn't salt just salt?
Not at all. Table salt is just sodium chloride. It's bleached, processed, stripped of everything else. Celtic sea salt, or a good Himalayan salt, has over 80 essential minerals, magnesium, potassium, calcium. These are electrolytes.
And why do we need electrolytes for an erection?
Because an erection is a neurovascular event.
Yeah.
It starts with a nerve signal from the brain down to the penis. Nerves run on electricity. And how does the body conduct electricity? Through electrolytes, specifically the sodium-potassium pump. If you're mineral deficient, your nerve signaling is damp. The signal literally gets lost on the way down.
So it's about the electrical wiring just as much as the plumbing.
Precisely. If you're mineral deficient, you get cramps, that heavy leg feeling, and weak nerve signaling.
There was a story about a man named Thomas, age 70. He was having trouble just getting out of bed.
Thomas had groin pain, numb legs. He was actually using his nightstand to physically pull himself up in the morning. That's how weak and heavy his lower body felt.
Wow. And the intervention was just the potato and salt.
He added half a steamed sweet potato, which you can just prep the night before and reheat, with that mineral salt and warm water. 3 days later, just 3 days, he stopped using the nightstand.
That seems incredibly fast. How is that even possible? Muscles don't grow in 3 days.
No, muscles don't grow in 3 days, but hydration and conductivity can change that fast. Think of a car battery. If the battery is dry, nothing works.
Yeah.
You put the fluid back in, the current flows immediately. The salt helped him retain hydration in his muscles and literally turn the electrical signals back on. He wasn't withered anymore, he was conductive.
That is a crucial distinction. It's not magic, it's just physics. So we have these 4 incredible foods, but Dr. Laura adds a little bit of a strategy warning here. She says the first hour matters.
This is the critical window. Like we said, your cortisol is highest in the morning, your vessels are the most constricted. If you wait until noon to eat, or if you start with sugar, you've lost that prime window for repair. You have to interrupt that stress response with nutrition to flip the body from survival mode to repair mode.
But she also says, and I love this because it's so human, don't try to do everything at once.
The one thing rule, if you try to overhaul your entire diet tomorrow, Eggs, oats, watermelon, all of it. You'll probably quit by Wednesday. She says to pick one. Start with the eggs. Do that for 2 weeks. See how you feel. Consistency is so much more important than intensity.
Right.
Eating 2 eggs every morning for a month is infinitely better than eating a perfect diet for 3 days and then quitting.
She also gets into the mental side of this. She had this really poignant line about aging. She said, aging takes what you are willing to surrender.
That really struck me. We have this cultural story that after 60 or even 50, it's just game over. You're supposed to be tired. You're supposed to have ED. It's just seen as inevitable.
Yeah.
Dr. Laura is challenging that. She's saying the body is capable of repair until the very end, but you have to stop believing the story that it's too late. If you stop feeding the repair mechanisms, you are, in effect, surrendering your own function.
That's such a powerful way to reframe it. It's not loss, it's neglect. And neglect is something we can fix.
Exactly. And honestly, this applies to men in their 40s, too. If you start feeding these systems now, you don't have to do all the repair work when you're 60.
So let's just recap the toolkit for everyone listening who might be making a grocery list right now. 1, whole eggs. Don't toss that yolk. You need the leucine for deep muscle repair.
2, oatmeal with chia seeds, the artery cleanser to scrub the vessel walls and help them relax.
3, watermelon. And you have to blend in that white rind to boost nitric oxide naturally.
And 4, steamed sweet potato with Celtic salt, the stabilizer for your nerve health and electrical balance.
And remember, this isn't just about sex. That's the hook, for sure. But if you fix your circulation for that, you're also fixing it for walking, for thinking clearly. You're restoring your independence.
It's about vitality. It's about not needing the nightstand to pull yourself out of bed like Thomas. That's the real win.
So here's a thought to leave you with. We've seen today how a simple breakfast change can actually mimic the biological pathways of some pretty sophisticated medications, boosting nitric oxide, repairing tissue, conducting nerve signals. If food can do that in a matter of weeks, what other inevitable symptoms of aging that you might be dealing with right now, maybe it's joint pain, maybe it's brain fog, are really just nutritional gaps waiting to be filled?
That's the question everyone should be asking themselves.
Go make that grocery run. Your next act begins at the breakfast table. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll catch you next time.